pain is worth more, and there's that whole debate of the price that you should pay. I won't go into...
Could you go back to the picture for a second?
Sorry, yeah.
The one of the High Court. The one on the left is my wife's first cousin's son, whose father was killed by Hamas.
And he was the one leading...
He was one of the families that protested the deal.
Mm-hmm. And do you want to just share his argument?
I will in the next session I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay, it's a nice lead-in. I just want to share just another story. I happen to know Robbie and Ali, I'm sure you know them too, Gershon. And they shared a very different narrative to how to deal with their loss. So Robbie lost her son. He was killed by a Palestinian terrorist at a checkpoint, and she said the following. Now, I think honestly, what I feel, if he would release the man who killed my son David in the context of a deal for Gilad, I'm digging into me to get answers, and I discovered that the life of Gilad and the welfare of his family is worth everything. Moreover, I also wonder whether the slight satisfaction and revenge that I should feel if he stays in jail for the rest of his life will fill the gap and void in my heart. It won't. There is no consolation in revenge for loved ones who has perished. And I think this idea of how should a bereaved family behave, and that's why I put the contrasting pictures there. You know, people expect, bereaved families, they just want to punish the terrorists for their whole life. And I think the fact that Robbie responded in this different way, and she's part of an organisation of many people who respond in these different ways, is trying to challenge the impact of war on families and trying to challenge what is the expected response, what's the way you should respond when these things happen. I'm just running out of time a little bit, so I want to skip to the end and say the following. Sorry. Why is it that Israel pays such a high price? The reason why Israel pays such a high price is because a woman called Miriam Groff. Just to give you a bit of context, in 1985 there was a deal with Ahmed Jabril where 1,150 prisoners were swapped for 3 Israelis, one of which was Miriam Groff's son, which is Yosef Groff. And this is amazing quote here from Eitan Haber, who's the senior aide to Yitzhak Rabin, and he says the following: "It's difficult to explain, but only someone who met that woman could understand how she filled everyone with a deep, blood-boiling, paralysing sense of shame. We're speaking about 3 very tough men here, Rabin, Peres and Yitzhak Shamir, who had no problem saying no, but simply couldn't stand up to Mrs. Groff. What tipped the scales was not her tears, or screaming, or her teeth grinding, all of which I remember clearly. It was the whole package. There was something menacing about her that threatened that the world was coming to an end. Her aggressiveness was not of this world. She broke them all down." And you can see here, this is Miriam Groff from 1985 and today. And Yosef Groff has had some interaction with on Facebook because he runs a group of POWs that campaign for POW rights. And this is the famous photo of him returning in 1982. But I think the amazing part of this story is the impact of families and personal stories on a conflict. And I know I've sort of run out of time, but maybe if I could leave a message here, is when you think of conflict and prisoner deals and 2 states, 1 state maps, when you get into all those political arguments that I think it's really important to have, and we do have them in Limud, don't forget the families, don't forget the individual stories, because I think, to me, if you want to understand war, you've got to understand how it affects people before you understand how it affects nations. And I think that's what Chatufim is really trying to send a message to us. And this is a quote from Yosef Groff in 2008, after there was this huge, obviously, wave of violence in the Intifada, and he said, "People would come up to me in the street and blame me for the Intifada." It's the first Intifada in 87. "I heard it all the time, I still do, including from strangers. This country doesn't like live POWs, it prefers that you come home in a coffin." And that's an amazing thing for a POW to say, how the politics and the personal get confused in that sense. And I did speak to Gershon before this, we had a chat on Facebook, and it's good that you've told me that attitude towards Gilad has changed significantly. But definitely Yosef Groff's experience was a very negative one of coming back home. So to me, that's just some of the many questions that are dealt with this show. For those that live in Melbourne, I do teach an entire course on Israeli Society film at the Jewish Museum of Australia, which you're welcome to come to. If you would like to be in contact with me or have a copy of this presentation, just send me an email. I'm also presenting another session. It's the last session of Limud. It's a performance and a feedback and celebration of Linwood. So you're all invited to that. And I'm also, and yeah, so that's all I want to say. So thank you very much for your time. And if you like my